Hi everyone, it's Alka1993 here. At this moment, I'm on my way to my internship class. Not my current one, because at this very moment, I don't have one, but it is the internship class I had 2.5 years ago. My very first internship class. Before I started this college, I had so many ideas of what to do, but becoming a primary school teacher wasn't even on that list until I at some point found the option on the internet somewhere, and I was like, wait, this could be awesome. So I signed up, and I liked the first good amount of days in college, but I was really excited about internship. Asked if I could start a week sooner, which was able to happen. And then the internship class I'm going to right now was my very first one, and after that first day I was sold. Sure, there were difficulties, sure I had to get used to quite a lot of things, but that didn't matter because I really liked it, and I definitely wanted to come back, and I learned so much. And even though every internship class I've had since then has had its awesome moments and things I'll really remember, the first internship class will always have a special place in my heart due to the fact that it was my very first one. And that really sparked my love for this field of work and me wanting to become a primary school teacher. So I'm going to go in there now. I'm going to read them an adventure story, something I've written for every internship class I've had up to this point, at least once, for them twice even. One during Sinterklaas and one during Christmas. Because 2 months ago I met one of the kids from the class, happened to meet them walking about in the town that we live in the city. And we chatted for like a good 20 minutes. And she asked me if I could write another adventure story. So it took me a while, but after I finished it, together with her, I spoke to their teacher, and he was really happy about the idea. He really liked it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go there, read it to him, surprise him, because they don't know I'm coming, only the teacher does. And the one kid that suggested that she knows I'm coming, except she doesn't know I'm coming today. So that's kind of cool. So, yeah, I can't exactly film in there because, well, privacy reasons. Can't exactly film the kids. I knew that from the beginning. But they obviously repeat that in college. Can't just put them on video, on photos, things like that. Especially in this age of social media being so big. But I'll be good. I can't film in there. Privacy reasons, I definitely respect that. But I'll definitely tell you afterwards what has happened. I'm just really excited. Let's have some fun. That was awesome. That was awesome. As I said, I went to see my internship class. Tried to use the back door because I knew that class was the first right coming in from the back door. But for security reasons, you can't open the back door from the outside. Therefore, I had to come from the front entrance anyway. So I did that, walked to the class. Unfortunately, in a way, 5 of the kids were actually in the hallway trying to find new books to read in class from a bookshelf that was there. And that meant that they already saw me. They're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, oh, no, yeah, the teacher asked me to come over. I wasn't going to give anything away yet. But, and then one of them opened the doors like, oh, Teacher Alka is here, yeah! Woo woo! Everyone cheering. Obviously, their normal teacher didn't know I was coming that day at that time. I shook his hand. He was happy to see me, I was happy to see him. Walked in and the kids were screaming loud. The teacher and I weren't exactly happy with that, but we know our little teacher tricks to get kids to be quiet that aren't screaming and being, oh, be quiet, blah, 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 blah. We have our ways to do it in a peaceful and less loud manner. So, yeah, went in, like, why are you here, kids? The official teacher asked the kids to clean up their desks and things like that. And then, why is he here? And I heard a few whispers like, oh, he made another story. He's going to read a story. It's a story. He's going to play Pokemon with us. Oh, he's going to play on the 3DS all the time. Does he have a fidget spinner? He's going to make an adventure story. I heard a couple things. Eventually, when the class was quiet, desks were cleaned, I took to the floor, and I explained that the regular teacher had invited me to tell a historical story about a certain king. I said it specifically in this way to get rid of a good portion of the excitement that the kids had on purpose. The kids were like, "Oh man, I was hoping for something." I didn't really hear that, but I did see some disappointed faces. So there's a story about a king, and he was adored by everyone from his country. He helped where he could, and pretty much he was the ultimate king. There was a bit more to the intro, but that's the summary of it. And then I went to, and the king's name is, and then I said one of the guys' names from the class. And then I heard reactions like, what? No, he's not king. He should be king. Oh! And then the realization came. It hit them like, he did come here to read a new adventure story. And all the excitement was like, yay, happy. So that was real fun. Continue with the story. Everyone had a role. There were kings. There were heads of computer companies. There was someone, a dance instructor that made pancakes. There were 3 people who were in a heavy metal band whose instruments could shoot lightning. There was the pink fluffy unicorn. There were 2 Olympic champions in athletics. There were so many different kinds of characters and beings, because like there was a robot and 3 aliens. And I think I did a real nice job. Like the original version that I had up to 2 days ago wasn't up to par with this. I'm very happy I changed pretty much half the story. Like there were hockey players, I gave them superpowers, because originally in the original version they were just hockey players. And 2 players played together well, passed 1 defender, and then shot the goal, but the keeper saved. That was 4 hockey players, and I named them. So instead I gave them superpowers, like in Inazuma 11. But then, like, my own made-up names. So that was a lot of fun. The kids really liked it. And afterwards they had a bunch of questions, like, what happened to this character after the story? What happened to this? Like, some I explained, some I didn't. But I said, no, just leave that up to your imagination. And the kids liked it so much that one of them even asked me if I would write for them, not a new story, but the musical they would perform at the end of their next year of school. Because in the Netherlands, primary school is years 1 through 8, starting at 4 years old, ending at 12 usually, although the young ones might still be 11 in year 8. And that I would write that, but I realized like that would be an honor and that would be really awesome if I could manage it. However, I've never written an official scenario, clear scene differences. I've written like fantasy stories. I have my Yu-Gi-Oh fanfiction, Yu-Gi-Oh Burst, and I've thought about things for like my Pokemon fanfic, which I haven't actually written any chapters of yet. And I've written many of these adventure stories, but they are written in a very different manner from what that musical would be like. I have to write scenarios, include songs, and in addition to that, there's 2 year 8s, and they have to be in the same musical, so I have to give roles to both. Both of the classes, so instead of 28 kids, I have to give it to I'll have to give it to, let's say, 55. And instead of being 15-20 minutes long, it has to be like an hour and 15 minutes. So I saw it as a very low chance. I didn't say 100% that I wouldn't do it, but I did tell them that the chance would be very low. I did speak to the person who normally rehearses the musicals with them, which is the theater teacher who, well, comes from outside to help out with various theater projects in the school, including that final musical for the year 8s. So she happened to be at school that day, so together with 2 of the students, I did ask her about the possibility, and she was open about it. If the kids really wanted it, she was open to giving me a shot, which I really appreciate. It helps, by the way, that I do know the teacher, by the way. She was willing to give me a shot, but knowing the fact that I'd never written an official theater scenario, she did state, which is completely true, that it will be extremely difficult. And I admitted that I saw a very low chance of it happening, especially considering it would likely take months of work to get a proper musical done. And at the moment, I have more time than I will have starting September again, so it'll be very difficult. Either way, I did promise the kids from internship class who are now in year 7 the same thing I promised them 2 years ago in year 5 on my final day of internship with them. Like, one of them, actually only one of them remembered. A few that remembered that I made a promise, but they didn't really remember what. One did. And the promise was that I would come to watch their final musical when they are in year 8. And so that promise still stands. I will keep in contact with the teacher, especially with the one from today, because the teacher they had in year 5 when I had an internship, she doesn't work at the school anymore, so I'll stay in a bit of contact with this teacher and just check the school's website, like when the performance is, and then I'll make sure with that teacher I'm allowed in, because one, I'm not a teacher, I don't work at the school, and I'm not family related to any of the students, but likely with the help of that teacher I will be allowed in. So I'm looking forward to that. I will, I guess, give the musical writing a shot, although as I said, I don't expect it to work out. I will give it a shot, but I'm not like downgrading myself, because I do really like making stories, and one of the questions was, are you ever going to make like a book? And like my main goal is to become a primary school teacher. The second, well, not really second goal, but what I do see myself doing is continuously writing stories like this, like these fantasy stories. And one idea I had a year and a half ago was to put them all, once I had a good portion of them, put them together in a bundle and release them. Then I'd be an official writer, I guess. However, due to privacy reasons, I won't be able to use the kids' names. So I'd have to change some of the names. Like, some of the characters actually had their, especially in this story that I made last year, it wasn't just instead of, let's say, a robot called Sam, or let's say a museum director called Francisca. That would be regular names for people, and that's usually how I do the stories. However, in one of the stories, I fused names of kids with names of certain well-known characters or people here in the Netherlands. Like, we have Sinterklaas here, which is pretty much very easily explained the Dutch Santa, but there's so much more to it than that. If you want to look it up, look it up. It's pretty much the Dutch Santa, Sinterklaas, and there was a kid in that class whose name, or at least part of his name, was very similar to part of Sinterklaas. So I subbed out that part of the Sinterklaas and subbed in his name. And I did that with a few other characters as well. So those will be harder to change, but I'm pretty sure I can figure that out. But that's a few years from now, if I ever end up doing that. Ooh, spider. Let's go catch that. BRB. Huh. Apparently there was a spider web hanging from my ceiling. Or there wasn't, and he was just hanging from one that he was just making from the ceiling. Or her. I'm not sure how that works. Anyway. Where was I with my story? Book bundle, yes. So I will likely, well, I feel it's likely that in the future I will make a book bundle. There's a decent chance that'll be from the fantasy stories that I've written for every one of my internship classes, and will continue writing for the regular class I'll teach in the future. Or I'll just write, or also write, different kinds of stories as well. Because I do like writing, especially in a fantasy setting where one person is a pink fluffy unicorn and one is a robot, and then there's aliens, and there's the pirate that can shoot laser beams from his eyes. I don't know. It doesn't have to be too overly fantasy. There was a zookeeper in today's story as well that was just clumsy and fell down a lot. So it doesn't have to be fantasy creatures all the time. It just can be regular humans as well that just happen to have, say, a profession that they wouldn't expect. But I do think that in the future I will write some stories and release them to the public, just as a little thing extra that I'd like to do. But it's becoming a primary school teacher, that is my main goal. That is very clear to me that that is what I want. And today just confirmed that even more. A good amount of the kids I do see every now and then, especially when I go babysitting, because I go babysitting for kids, 2 kids that are on that same school, just different classes. So some of them did see me occasionally, especially on the day that I do babysit. And sometimes they'd just say hi, sometimes they'd walk by, notice me, and ignore me, or they would notice me, just say hi. Sometimes they'd come and chat with me for a little bit, joke around a bit, which is really fun. And that the fact that they still recognize me and be like, hey, that's Teacher Oka, hey, that's fun. Or have a reaction like that when they do see me around. And I do really like that. And I can have really nice chats with all of them. And even those that I felt for not having been in the class for 2 years, just over 2 years, yeah, well over 2 years, obviously the bond between us has weakened somewhat. But the bond that we were able to build up over the half year that I had internship was still clearly there. Because all of the kids that were there were happy that I was there. I didn't see a single sad face or, that guy. Some will have been happier than others, that's clear, but they were happy I was there, and they were very happy and pleased that I came with another story. And I just heard positive reactions, which it just makes me enjoy being there so much. Because when I see kids happy and kids smile, I smile. And that's one of the main things why I like being a teacher. Seeing kids happy makes me very happy. And today, exactly that happened. Will I make another story for the same kids? Probably not, unless a lot of them really beg the teacher, and then the teacher begs me to do it because they keep bugging him. Then maybe. I don't think it'll be this year, though. I do see a slightly bigger chance of it happening next year. But that's next year, and then obviously they'll be working on that musical and other stuff. So I don't know. I didn't make any promises to them. I said maybe. I'm not gonna make promises, just like I said to you. So yeah, it was fun. After the day, I chatted with 2 of the girls who really wanted to take the stories home. One of them said, "Yeah, I still have all the stories home, and sometimes I'd read them because the 2 stories that I wrote for them 2.5 years ago for Santa Claus on Christmas." And just hearing that and seeing the excitement on her face telling me about those stories and that she still really enjoys them is just a lot of fun that brought me great joy. So I printed out the story 2 extra times for those 2 girls that did ask for that printout. For the rest, I'll just send the latest version to their teacher so that would any other kid want to have the story, the teacher can either print it out or have it be sent to the parents so that either the parents can print it out or just read it on the computer or iPad or whatever device they might have. Unfortunately, 2 of the 27 kids weren't actually there. One of the guys, one of the girls. It was really unfortunate. I wanted to see them too. It was fun seeing the 25 that were there. It was really unfortunate that 2 of them were not. They had good reason. I'm not sure why the guy wasn't there. The girl had a wedding of a family member in a completely different country. So she had the week off. That was really special. So happy for her and for her family. It was unfortunate they weren't there. Unfortunate that I can't read it through them. But as I said, I will send it to the teacher. The teacher will send it to them or print it out for them. Maybe the teacher will read it out, or maybe if they want enough, I'll come back and read it to the class again, and those 2 won't know anything about it. I don't think that'll happen, but would I be asked? I'll do it because I enjoy it so much. What now? For the rest of the day, I'll play a bit of video games. It is warm, so I'm gonna go outside for a bit more, and really just improvise what I'm gonna do now. Because last few days I've always had to do. There was always something to do. Every day, whether it was just dentist appointment, that was it, or I was gonna go visit someone. And today, obviously, the story, which I spent most of the day yesterday rewriting again and again, because the 2 days ago, the first version, rewrote half of the story completely yesterday, and then yesterday night, rewrote a quarter of it, and made some minor changes. So it did become a lot better, I do feel, and the kids really enjoyed it. So I'm very happy. I'm going to take this joy into whatever I end up doing for the rest of the day. See you later.